presidential election 2024. Polls show D.C., Maryland, Virginia leaning left. Washington. With just 1 week left until the election, former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris are making their final bids to voters who will be heading to the polls on November. 5. Harris has held a rally at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C., Tuesday night, where she made her closing argument, urging the nation to turn the page toward a new era and away from Trump. Trump, meanwhile, delivered remarks to the press at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach Tuesday morning before heading to Pennsylvania for a Building America's Future community roundtable in Drexel Hill and an evening rally in Allentown. He held his own closing argument rally at Madison Square Garden on Sunday. The two candidates remain locked in a razor-thin race. Harris continues to have an edge in national polls, according to 270 to win. Their average of 14 recent national polls shows Harris with a narrow 0.9% lead over Trump, 48.1% to 47.2%. Polls also show Trump just slightly ahead in some swing states that could decide the election. All the polls are extremely close and within the margin of error. While there are some close races here in the DMV, many are leaning left, something that's not new for us. Here's a look at polling data in some of the key races in our area. DC polling. DC has always skewed heavily blue. The district has consistently voted Democratic in every presidential election since gaining its 3 electoral votes through the ratification of the 23rd Amendment in 1961. No Republican has ever won an electoral vote. In the 2020 election, Joe Biden received about 17 votes for each 1 vote for Donald Trump, according to 270 to win. And in the 2024 primaries, Biden overwhelmingly saw more support from Democrats than Trump saw from Republicans. Nikki Haley won the Republican primary in the district, with 63% of the vote compared to Trump's 33%, showing that even DC's conservatives may be turning away from the MAGA ideology. Early voting got underway in D.C. Monday, so there's not much data on which way ballots are being cast, but the bellwether indicates that the district will once again swing solidly Democratic, and that all 3 electoral votes will go to Harris. Maryland polling. Maryland is clearly leaning Democratic as well. The latest aggregate poll data from Real Clear Politics puts Harris above Trump by nearly 30 percentage points in the state, 62.2% to 33%. A Washington Post University of Maryland Center for Democracy and Civic Engagement survey conducted between October 17 to 22 showed similar results, with Harris polling at 61% while Trump was at 33%. According to NBC's early voting dashboard, more than 1 million early voting ballots have been cast in Maryland, 60% of those by registered Democrats, 25% by registered Republicans, and 10% by independents. The same post-UMD poll showed Democratic leanings in another key Maryland race, also Brooks versus Hogan. Prince George's County Executive Angela, also Brooks, and former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan are facing off for the state's open Senate seat. It's a race that has garnered national attention, as it could be key in determining which political party will lead the U.S. Senate for the next 4 years. The survey shows also Brooks maintaining a clear lead over Hogan by 12%, 52% to 40%. The unusually competitive race has already drawn in at least $84.6 million in combined contributions, according to a Washington Post report from October. Virginia polling. Virginia is the biggest toss-up in the DMV. While it's not a battleground state, it is a swing state, frequently alternating between Democratic and Republican control. With 13 electoral college votes, it's still a key state in any presidential election. For more than 3 decades, starting with Nixon, Virginia went to the Republican candidate. But that flipped in 2008 with the election of Barack Obama, and it has held Democratic since then. Right now, Real Clear Politics puts Harris ahead of Trump in the Commonwealth, 49.8% to 44%. RCP averaged 5 polls, conducted from early September to October. According to a Washington Post Schar school poll, Harris holds a 6-point edge over Trump among likely voters in Virginia. An active vote poll shows a wider margin between the two candidates, with Harris leading former Trump by 8.2%. The poll was among 400 likely voters, has an average expected error of 4.9%. Early voting data from NBC also shows strong Democratic turnout in Virginia. More than 1.6 million ballots have been cast in the state, 52% by Democrats, 38% by Republicans, and 10% by independents. There are several key congressional races in Virginia as well. Democratic incumbent Tim Kaine is facetting Republican challenger Hung Chau for the Senate seat. The Washington Post Schar survey shows that Kaine has a comfortable lead over Chau, 54% to 41%.